The neon sign of the blackout pub buzzed with a nervous energy, mirroring the feeling in Philip's gut. He'd been waiting for Julia at the other side of the street for what felt like hours, the cool New York night air clinging to him despite his warm fabric jacket. He checked his watch again. Almost 12 p.m. He hadn't wanted to intrude, to hover inside and make Julia feel pressured. But every second felt like a tiny pinprick of anxiety. His attention snagged on a familiar figure leaning against the brick wall near the entrance. Luca, the bouncer. The man who'd almost launched him onto the sidewalk the night he'd lost it with Steve. Philip braced himself. He didn't want a confrontation, especially not tonight. He just wanted Julia. Luca straightened up as Philip approached. The bouncer's expression was surprisingly neutral, a far cry from the intimidating glare Philip remembered. "Doctor," Luca said. "Didn't expect to see you around here again." Philip forced a polite nod. "Just waiting for Julia." Luca's gaze softened slightly. "Hope your arm's not giving you too much trouble after, you know." He gestured vaguely with his chin. "Look, Steve's a dick, I know. But that's my job. Frank pays me to keep the peace. Even if the peace involves protecting a pretentious guitarist." Philip sighed. "I understand. I shouldn't have reacted like that. It wasn't my best moment." "We all have those," Luca said, a hint of understanding in his voice. "Just try to keep it outside next time, huh?" He gave a small, almost imperceptible smile. Before Philip could reply, the door to the pub swung open and Julia emerged, bathed in the warm amber light. She was saying goodbye to Luca, her face tilted upwards as she spoke. Even from this distance, Philip could see the genuine smile that transformed her features, erasing the shadows that so often clung to her. His heart did a familiar, hopeful flutter. As she turned and walked towards him, he felt a surge of protectiveness, a deep-seated need to shield her from anything that might hurt her. He watched her approach, her steps light and hesitant, her eyes searching his. "Philip," she said, her voice soft as she reached him. "Julia," he replied, returning her smile. He wanted to kiss her, to touch her in front of everybody, but resisted. It was a little bit awkward moment. They started walking away from the pub and into the stream of late-night New Yorkers. The mixture of sounds, taxi horns, snippets of conversations, the distant wail of a siren, seemed to fade into a muted background hum as he focused on Julia. He took a deep breath. "Julia," he began, trying to sound casual. "I was wondering, have you ever thought about moving in?" The words felt clumsy, inadequate, but the question was out there, hanging between them. Julia's steps faltered slightly. She looked at him, her eyes wide and searching. "Moving in," she repeated, as if trying to process the idea. "With me," Philip clarified, his voice betraying his nervousness. "To my apartment." He held his breath, waiting for her answer. She looked away, her gaze fixed on the passing storefronts. "Philip," she said slowly, "that's a big step. I need to think about it." He felt a pang of disappointment, but he understood. He hadn't expected her to jump at the opportunity. Not after everything. "Of course," he said, trying to sound nonchalant. "No pressure. Just something to consider." He changed the subject, hoping to ease the tension. "How was the gig? Did it go well?" Julia's shoulders seemed to relax slightly. "It was good. I think I sang okay." "Just okay," Philip teased, nudging her gently with his elbow. "I'm sure you were amazing." She smiled, a genuine, unguarded smile that lit up her face. "I think Maggie likes you," Philip said. "Really?" Julia asked. "Yeah, but she needs time with new people, you know. She's a sweetheart. She reminds me of you, actually. Like, a female version of you." Philip chuckled. "That's interesting. What do you mean?" "Just the way she cares about people, the way she's trying to help. With her profession, with the yoga classes. She's got that same kind of intensity." Philip felt a warmth spread through him. It was nice to know that Julia recognized the qualities he valued, even if they were reflected in his somewhat eccentric sister. They walked in comfortable silence for a few blocks, the city lights blurring into a coruscating tapestry around them. Finally, they reached the entrance to the subway station. "Here we are," Philip said, gesturing towards the steps. Julia hesitated for a moment, looking up at him. "Philip," she said softly, "thank you for coming for me. And for everything." He reached out and gently took her hand. "And I love you too." That point the girl kissed the man. Her lips was cool against his, but her touch sent a jolt of warmth through him. Warmness and happiness spreaded through Philip's body, from his back of his neck to his toes. "Any time, Julia," he said. His voice barely a whisper, and kissed her back. "Any time at all." They descended the grimy steps of the subway together, the rumble of the approaching train a low, insistent thrum beneath their feet. By 12:45 a.m., the door to Philip's apartment clicked shut behind them, isolating them from the city's restless vigor. He watched Julia, her eyes scanning the familiar space, the bookshelves, the furniture, the evidence of his life stretching before her. He wanted her here. He wanted her safe and close. He wanted to build a life with her, brick by painstaking brick, away from the shadows of their past. He just hoped she would decide to move in, to trust him enough to leap into the unknown together. Because the thought of building that future alone, without Julia by his side, was a future he couldn't bear and didn't want to imagine.